Morning. I had to say that to make sure I'm actually awake, because I had some friends I haven't seen for a few years took me out last night, and they forced me to drink a lot of beer. Of course they did. Right. Now, I have a lot to tell you, but I'm probably going to speak quite fast. I'll be around afterwards in case you don't understand anything. Apologies for the English accent. I can't quite shake it, even though I have not lived in England for a very long time. Cyber risk management is what your business does to look at the cyber risk that can affect your business. We are all here, we're talking about technology, we've seen the technical solutions. I've been listening to the products, I've been talking to people on the stands, and what I can tell you is absolutely everything that is being offered here has a real place and can work. But why is it so hard to explain the business value? Previous panel talking about the Cloudflare products, the partnership with Safaricom, and all those scary numbers. If any of you here looking at buying cybersecurity solutions for your businesses? Yeah. Well, if you listen to those numbers and take that back to your finance officer, you might want to be careful, because if I was given those numbers, I would hide under the table. Because if you listen to these stories, this is a battle we cannot win. Well, I'm actually here to give you some hope, because the battle is going to be fought on our terms, and we very much can win. But selling it into our business is hard. And I'm going to say it shouldn't be that hard. And forgive my presumption, I'm going to start off by telling you it's hard because you've been doing it wrong. And I'm going to give you some tricks to do it right. Now, I'm one of those evil people. I'm actually a professional consultant. So I'm not actually going to tell you how to do anything. Okay, you know the business. But what I'm going to give you is a set of questions. And by the way, this is how consultants work. So you can take this away and use it in your next negotiation with a four-letter company. The questions that I'm going to give you, you should be asking them yourselves. You ask those questions in the context of your business, not every other business in the world, your business. And that's going to be the secret. Because if you can't solve your problems, it is unrealistic to expect a stranger from outside, especially someone who's trying to sell you an expensive service, to understand your problems. So this is where we're going. So, do you know what your business does? And I'm talking to you, all the technical people in cybersecurity, the risk managers, business people. Is anybody here a finance officer? No. You need to bring your finance officers to venues like this and to talk about it, because ultimately, who is going to pay for the magic you need to make their risk go away? But before you can persuade your finance officer to join you, you have to be able to persuade them in languages that they understand. So it's a business conversation. And I'll bring that back again and again and again. It's a technology domain, but we're not buying technology. We are buying a reduction in business risk. Your cybersecurity tools are actually part of a business case where if I spend this, my risk will be reduced and I have a net positive business value, not a pure cost center. If you've got a positive business value, guess what? You are competing for funding with the same language. So you've got to understand how your business generates value. Because ultimately, if your business doesn't generate value, number one problem, they won't be able to pay you. That's a bad ending to any business case. How are you using that value to keep your business operating? If you're a technical person, if you can't answer that question, what are you protecting? Yes, you might have had your Cloudflare deployment and deflected 5.5 terabits per second of attack. What does that actually mean to your business? Because if you can't explain what that means to your business, next year, when the renewal comes up and you've got to fight everybody else for that budget, nothing happened. You need to understand why. So can you hear me okay? Because my ears are ringing with a little bit of feedback here. So, what are the threats to that value? Now, we've talked about cyber threats. Yes, cyber threats are real. Well, what are the business threats to that value? Because cyber threats are just one of many range of threats that can destroy your company. So you have to put that on the table, because everybody else who has a business threat is queuing up. Give me the money, please, Mr. Finance Officer or Mrs. Finance Officer. Whoever has the bag of gold, I'm begging you for money to do my risk reduction. And cybersecurity is in that queue. How do you protect that value? Because if you can't explain the protection, then you're just asking for money. You might get it, but it's not always that easy. And which parts of your business need the most protection? Because here's a hint. Not every server that you sweat over in the cloud or in your basement is vital to the continued existence of your business. It's all useful. It's all doing something, I hope. But there are systems that you could turn off for 24 hours, which will really freak out the guy in IT, by the way. So kind of ask permission before you do it. But they're not going to hurt your business. But there will be one or two systems that if you turn them off, your business is kaput. Know what they are. Don't just ask the guys in IT which ones they sweat over the most. Because guess what? I have never met anybody in IT who was idle. They are busy just keeping the lights on. Talk to business. Understand which system, which process would be the most painful from an economic perspective. Because if you can't do the economic value of your cybersecurity systems, you're just another technical solution provider. And then, how resilient? Your business might survive being down for 24 hours and you lose 2 or 3% of your revenue. If that's truly the case, should you be spending 10% of your revenue on technical systems to protect it? Because if you are, you're wasting money. Equally, your systems might need to be available with maybe a 15-second gap, in which case your investment in protection is going to have to allow for that. Don't just leave it up to, I'm going to buy the best possible IT I can get. Make sure it's aligned with your business requirements, which means talking to business. Those scary people who wear suits. I try not to wear a dark suit in case I get mistaken for someone who's important. But the simple fact is, the dark suits run the world because they have the keys to the bank account. You need to spend that money wisely so that the bank accounts can get bigger. You need to know what could possibly go wrong from a business perspective. Because guess what? Everything you do in the technology space can go wrong randomly. That's why most of us actually have a job. But from a business point of view, there are things that must work, things that can work most of the time, and things that are nice to have. But you need to get that from the business people, because if you can't get that communication, you might not know. This is my famous cat. I call him Schrödinger. But the simple fact is, this cat is based on our perception. Emotion and understanding come together. Basically, when we started off as a species, we had two basic things programmed into our head. When we looked at something, the concern was, can I eat it or will it eat me? That's hardwired. Then we learned to communicate, and we would talk to our friends, or the ones who survived the can it eat me encounters, and they would tell us there was something there that would eat me, and we wouldn't go there. That is hardwired. So that box represents our own personal little space. We are comfortable. We build a world model and we sit in it. Not as elegantly as a cat in a box. By the way, if you ever want to catch a cat, just put a box down. The cat will climb in. But this is our perspective. Those boundaries are our perceptual boundaries on the world. In a business, when we are trying to work in this, you could take this as the silo in which your business is. If you are only listening to what comes to you into your box, be scared, be worried. Some of the numbers we've heard should be scary. But you need to learn to look out of your box, Because guess what? Everybody else in your business is in their own little box. The communication part of this is you need to understand what are the concerns of the person in the business box, the concerns of the person in the IT box, and the concerns of the person in the security box. Because usually they are facing in completely different directions, but everybody assumes that everybody is comfortable with what we know in our own boxes. Talk, ask questions. Which brings me back to the subject of today's presentation. What questions should we be asking? Right. In the beginning, there was darkness. Okay? I'm not going religious on you, but the fact is, we don't know. So generally, in terms of our business risk, we have a state of not knowing. Yeah, I encounter that most of my business days. I don't know how they're going to end. But I have confidence that if I ask the right questions and do the right things, I will be able to reach a satisfactory ending and there will be another day. So our journey from not knowing to knowing starts with a recognition that we don't know. Yeah? I'm not going to ask how many people know how to do their jobs, because if you all put your hands up, I'll know at least one of you is going to be lying, okay? I'll put mine up, because I don't know how to do my job every second of the day, but I have confidence by asking the people around me, I can find out what needs to be done, and I can provide something to help other people. Now, everybody in this room is in that position. You are part of a business. That business takes money. It's a grant, an investment, shareholders, and you do things through the magic of your business to increase that value. You're a cost of that value, but equally, there are bad things that happen. Cyber risk is a very scary technical space. By the way, I'm one of the old school. I use cyber to mean somebody is actually trying to kill me. Cyber criminals are malicious, evil people who wish to steal, destroy, extort. They are not part of my normal business ecosystem, so they are an attacker, and we treat that as offense and defense. In the middle between not knowing and knowing, we have uncertainty. By the way, if you want to look this up, this is from a teaching guide, which is for grade 4s and grade 5 teachers on how to communicate to, how should we say, reluctant students. That uncertainty is the space where education occurs. So, I see people nodding wisely, so I prefer to surround myself with people smarter than myself. It makes life easier. By the way, that's a hint. If you ever find you are the smartest person in the room, run or change the status quo. You need to be able to work, and you don't want to be the person doing everything. Uncertainty. Uncertainty with curiosity. Asking what business needs is actually your path to the future. Because with that curiosity comes education. You can learn and you can teach. Uncertainty with fear, because the numbers have scared you, you don't even want to get out of bed, leads to stasis, and it leads to decay. So be curious, never be scared to ask the question. Understanding what matters is the key. Metaphorically, the value is the bucket of gold you keep in the basement. We used to call them data centers, by the way, but now we keep them in the cloud. Your most valuable asset. We're working in an IT dimension, but the reality is, unless you are a bank, most of what you are dealing with in the data space is tokenization for a physical world. So we might have virtual assets, your database which points to your $1 billion worth of stock all around the world. The real value is in the objects that you are working with. The data is merely a pointer and a technical level to it. It could be the procedure. Your competitive advantage could be that you know a way of doing something 20% more effectively than your competition. Business, you cannot protect what you don't understand. So what supports the value of these assets? There will be IT systems, but there will be people. Yeah, we are all here for a reason. Because as of today, most of the IT doesn't run itself. And hint, even if we've replaced our IT with an AI, I am not depressed at the thought of being unemployed, because for at least the next 15, 20 years, someone is going to have to be next to the Control-Alt-Delete button, no matter what the software's doing. Okay? Things go wrong. It could be an attacker. It could just be normal business. Does anybody here have a business continuity plan? Nobody. That's depressing. My investment perspective has gone down dramatically. Business breaks. Business continuity is essential. Cybersecurity is part of that dimension, but it is not its entirety. Because if your business could fall over without a cyber attack, your cybersecurity might not be adding much extra value.
Oh, I thought you were here yesterday. Were you here yesterday? Were you at my keynote?
So when something breaks, how long
Oh, okay.
can
I'm Sunny.
you take to recover?
Systems, and we made a presentation yesterday on zero microsegmentation. All right, and we're
Went there.
today.
And there are things that cannot be recovered when they break. You do not want to spend all the hours of your emergency response recovering something that is never going to be recoverable, or something that doesn't matter to the delivery of your most important assets. This is part of your business continuity exercise. Don't just treat business continuity as compliance, because it's more than that. I have 15 minutes of talking to fit into 3 minutes, so please excuse me if I don't ramble too much. Right. Cyber risk management is a business risk conversation. If you are only having a cyber risk conversation with your IT team, you are missing 80% of the value you can provide. If this isn't part of your normal communication, learn why not, make it happen. And your greatest vulnerability is not 2,733 new CVS scores a month. It is not knowing what the vulnerabilities are to your business. Having a quick conversation at the back. You don't need to worry about the million sharks in all of the world's oceans. You only need to worry about that one shark that is next to you and can smell you in the water. It's the same with technical. Every one of these technical threats is real. Which ones matter? And cyber risk is a business risk. If you're talking binary, business won't understand you. If you are not listening in business terms, when business says, I need to make certain that this system is available, because if we lose it, if it is stolen, it could literally be 10 million shillings an hour lost. Understand what that means, because you need to plan to protect it, defend it, recover it. But if you haven't had that business conversation, you are a cost center, and you'll be fighting for your budget every year because you're not seen to be supporting value. When you are seen to support value, cyber risk management becomes possible. Kind of lied. It's never going to be easy, but with the conversations, it's not impossible anymore. And compliance, compliance has to happen, because you've got to prove to somebody else that you're doing it. But when you achieve a perfect sea of green ticks, that is the start of your journey. But all of you are in shock because you've got your certification, you've got your ISO 27000. I'm seeing red lights flashing here. Be resilient, align it with IT. This is my sea of green ticks. You were compliant. Don't leave cyber risk to IT. It's an existential business risk. And your cybersecurity controls, so it doesn't go back. Anyway, your cybersecurity controls need to be tested and proved effective against the real risks that you are facing. Because if you can't prove that your controls have actually made a difference, why would I, if I have the money, want to pay for another year? And that last line there was, it is all about identity. At every level, the threats that are affecting our identity. If I can write a check against your company, better yet, if I can get into your ERP system and create myself as a vendor and set myself up with a line of credit and have you deliver 3 brand new cars to me at an address that doesn't really exist, I have stolen them. By the way, that is a cybercrime. Would it matter to your business? If you don't sell cars, not a problem. But if you do, it could happen. So, do you trust the identity of your users? Do you track what they do? By the way, how many of you have a support desk? How many of your support desks reset passwords? How many consider that a password reset is an IT problem? Here's a hint. A password reset is a primary security event. Don't ignore it. Most ransomware attacks were identified within hours of them starting. And yes, there are complicated zero-day effects. But the main compounding factor was nobody noticed that the admin account was being reset 4 times a day. Here's a hint. That's not normal, even if your administrator has been out on the beer like I was last night. Pay attention to what matters. If you do nothing more than do MFA and track MFA failures, you will reduce yourself from the list of attacked companies. You become part of the 30% that may be attacked rather than the 70% that will be. And if a criminal steals your identity, would you expect? Do not assume that your phishing training makes you bulletproof. So keep your identities trusted and secure. That's my technical side of it. But this is a business thing because people always want their own thing. So always ask what could possibly go wrong in the context of your business, not IT. I think I only overran by 1 minute. That's me on my best behavior, by the way. Okay, this is me in my alter ego as 00 Jump. I'm going to be wandering around for the rest of the day. I'd love to continue this conversation. If anything I have said makes sense, please feel to use those questions. I don't know if people get the slides. Do people get the slides?
We'll make
Because all of those questions in those slides, feel free to take them back to your own organizations and ask those questions. If you are privileged enough to get in front of your chief finance officer or chief executive officer, play those questions back again. You will be amazed how many doors that opens for you. It will make your risk management more accessible. Not easy, but accessible. Anyway, thank you very much. I hope to talk to you again soon.